Hey guys, so in this week's video I thought I'd continue the streak of just asking you guys to basically design my game for me. I've put about a day's worth of thought into this, so it's really nascent and a lot of things are going to be oversimplified, but I'm trying to figure out how to deal with story in the game and how that will drive sort of mid and long-term goals. And I've broken down some different options that I can pursue into games, which is a huge oversimplification, but let's get started. So there is the sort of FTL approach, which is, look at this, I even made like little things. So there's the FTL approach, which I view as this is a procedurally generated game and you're going through and you're kind of making your own story, but if I add in a plot device that pushes you forward, which in that game, you're being hunted, and so you have to constantly move forward or else this wave will catch up to you. And then maybe having this sort of MacGuffin or this goal at the end, which is, like take out, is it the Federation ship or Rebel ship or I don't remember. But take out a ship at the end. And so basically I'm just kind of giving you something pushing you forward, something pulling you to an ultimate goal, and then everything that happens in between isn't really incredibly directed. And that works really well with procedurally generated content. The only problem I have with that is that with Duskers, I'm a storyteller, and I like to tell stories, and so I wanted to have this tale of this universe that everything's gone wrong in, and you can certainly do that. But this would allow more player freedom, I suppose. Again, these aren't mutually exclusive or anything, and they're drastic oversimplifications. So there's this kind of Gone Home or Bioshock approach in my head, which is how I originally envisioned the game, which is I leave a bunch of logs scattered throughout the universe. You might find them in a weird order, and this is kind of the story of what happened. And you're piecing that together and seeing if there's any people left or whatever, and that's kind of what I pitched. And the benefit of this is that it still allows a lot of player freedom. You can go and do what you want to do, but then there's this overarching sort of storyline or a bunch of storylines that you're discovering. The weak point of this, I feel, is that it's not as strong of a motivator, it's not as strong of a driving force, and it's not as strong of a pull for some. I talked to Holly, and she really likes this route because she really likes the idea of just exploring and that the storyline will drive her to discover new things. However, this isn't... like I said, this isn't as strong of a device because it's not like, hey, here's this thing that you have to do, and when you complete it, then you do this other thing, and it's much more freeform. And some people aren't as motivated by story. And then I have this third option that I kind of place somewhat in between there, which is when I played Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4, if you will, it had these hell gates that you had to close, and that was the main storyline. And I never followed that storyline because I thought it was kind of lame. But there were a million side quests as per RPGs, and I loved doing these things. And so what I could do is I could put in things like this, where it's more granular than, finding completely arbitrary logs, but these logs leave something for you to do. Like, hey, like we were trying to find a cure, and if you could find a really old spaceship and bring it back and have it analyzed or something like that, then maybe we could understand the disease, which is maybe part of what went wrong or something like that. The problem inherent in this is that A, it's more work because I have to set up all these little quests, and another problem with that would be it's finite, and it doesn't work as well with the roguelike nature of the game because, eventually you will do all of these things, which is fine. The thing I really like about it is that it gives you something, it gives you a really strong set of short and long-term goals, which would give you, like, for example, like, okay, I gotta now, instead of just being like, I'm going to continue to explore the universe and find more logs and learn more, it's like, I've got to find a really old ship, and if I come across that, then I have something to do with that ship. And then you would get multiple of these, and they'd be all kind of going on at the same time. But again, like, this also, yeah, so these are all, and these aren't mutually exclusive, like, you could definitely combine these things in different ways. But they kind of range in this, like, the more narratively driven it is, the more I feel it's compelling, and you have these very strong goals. But the less I put in there, the more sort of replayable in your own story and stuff like that is in there. But the less strong of those goals necessarily. And I also worry a little bit about. Well, I'm worrying a little bit about extrinsic goals, like if I start making it that, oh, hey, if you complete this quest, then you'll unlock this different type of ship, which I think is really a cool idea in roguelikes where you have a different class that you unlock, but then that feels a little bit like an extrinsic reward where it's like, oh, I'm playing the game to do that, rather than it's taking me out of the story and out of the world, because there's this sort of this game. I'm cognizant of this game that I'm playing because I'm unlocking things, which might not be as big of a deal as I worry about. But anyway, so I've been rambling on for a little bit. So the whole point of this is to get you guys' opinions and ideas and examples of games that you think do this sort of thing well, or things that you might want to see in the game, or that would maybe be exciting and we could try out in the alpha. So write those in the comments or tweet at me or whatever, as usual. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.